Monday. I'm feeling quite nervous about. I think this is the first time I'm feeling quite nervous about doing this. Yeah, maybe the first time that I did it, I was quite nervous about it, and yeah, for some reason now I feel a bit shy. So that's nice to notice and sit with. Can have a bit of hair vanity. Yeah, so it's Monday. Today has been a real journey. Yeah, a real journey of a day. I think I'm feeling quite emotional, actually. I think that's why that's probably why I'm feeling a bit nervous. I think there's probably a cry in me that would like to come out sometime soon. Yeah, it's the beginning of a week, and I was not in the room so much last week because of my menstrual cycle. And it felt really good to take that space. But I think there was a little bit of me today when I woke up and was like, oh God, it's Monday. I have to get back in the game. You know, I have to be ready to do things. And I'm actually quite tired. I'm energized, but I'm tired, both. And yeah, it's a full moon today, which I am massively affected by. It has a huge impact on me. And this one is in Scorpio, which is my star sign. So I'm even more woo, all the feelings. I want to be further away. Yeah, and I had a really difficult morning, mental health wise. I was really struggling today with some very old self-sabotage kind of patterns and habits that I have. I'm going to come back. I struggle to find a comfortable place if I feel a bit nervous. It's something I know about myself. I had a difficult morning. I was really in a battle with myself. I was really at war with myself, and I was in some kind of addiction spirals. And addiction has taken many forms for me over the years, and I've moved it from previously being kind of drug addictions and alcohol and the more obvious things, and now it's text addictions, or sending email addictions, or checking my phone addictions, or Netflix addiction. So I've made a progression for sure. And sometimes I can still really get really lost in those patterns and those spaces. So I had a plan this morning, and I just completely derailed myself from it, and then lost 4 hours of time just in this loop instead of being able to do what I really wanted to do, which was do some yoga and have a shower and get out of the door at 10:30, and actually I ended up getting out of the door at 1:30 and was in a complete state of frazzled emotional chaos by the time I left. And it's part of a process, and I think this is something that is important to me in the show, in making the show, and also in the content of the show, is really having compassion for ourselves and one another, in understanding that it takes a lot to change addictive patterns, or it takes a lot to change self-sabotage cycles, or it takes a lot to rebuild our confidence, or rebuild our sense of worth, or kind of nurture ourselves, or build a foundation of respect for ourselves or love for ourselves. This is not something that happens overnight, and there's a lot of kind of stuff out there in the world that feels like it often gives the impression that you can just boom, you can go from hating yourself to loving yourself in 6 weeks. And from my perspective, that is a crock of shit. It takes time, and it takes kind of looping back again and again and again to the places where you were hurt from your experiences, from trauma, from violence, from rejection, from abandonment, from shame, you know, whatever those things are that have hurt us deeply, that have been deeply traumatic, that are now affecting our mental health, that have, you know, caused us to create these patterns in the first place, these addictions. It's not a simple or quick or easy process. And there's something for me about this vlog and this show about like sharing what is often considered the ugly, you know, or like what is considered the, you know, the dark or the shadow. And it's like, actually, you know, like, yeah, sometimes I can lose like hours or days at a time because I'm just stuck in these spirals or these patterns, and it can take me, you know, it can take me hours to get out of them, and sometimes I can get out of them in minutes, you know, and that's kind of an ongoing process, and it takes years, you know, it takes years to shift these things. So today we were kind of looking at that and like looking at this, you know, this journey from like numbness to feeling. And then, you know, if you've been numb all your life because you've been disassociated, because you've been disconnected, because you created a very big persona for yourself to protect yourself from whatever it was that was going on around you that wasn't safe, and you had a projection that was very far away from what you were feeling, and then you hit this point in your life where you're ready to like start feeling, and maybe you've had therapy, or maybe you've had some support, and you're able to name things, and maybe you've told people about your experiences of abuse or violence, or the pain that you've been carrying, or the shame that you've been carrying that you haven't been able to vocalize, and in the process of vocalizing it, you start to feel things for the first time. And if you haven't felt much all your life because you've been numb or disassociated or disconnected, then that's a really big thing to suddenly get all these feelings back. And it can be quite intense, and it can be quite overwhelming, and suddenly you feel grief, and you feel rage, and you feel pain, and you can feel lust, you can feel desire, and previous to that you were not feeling anything, but maybe doing a really good job of looking like you were feeling a lot, you know, this thing of like putting a facade on it, and maybe, you know, pretending to be the person that's always having a great time, or being the life and soul of the party, or like having all the great jokes, or always being, you know, friendly, and this persona of like everything is fine, everything is fine, everything is fine. And underneath, you know, that's not what's going on. So this is a big part of my journey, and I know it's a big part of most people's journeys that have experienced particularly a lot of trauma in their childhood, or in their teens, or in those kind of formative years of your life. And that was reflected in the stories and experiences of the people at New Pathways. And so today we were looking at like, I don't know where the time goes. Today we were looking at like physical embodiments of that, and like and kind of a dance sequence of like exploring this process of going from numbness to feeling, and then taking all of those feelings and transforming them into self-care and appreciation and love, and how that could be, how I could communicate that through my movement, and through dance, and through the body. And it was powerful, actually. And yeah, Jess, my director, was crying at one point, and I felt a lot like in the sharing of that. And yeah, it was a journey of a day, and it's ended in a place where I feel very grateful to have some really incredible women particularly supporting me in this project, and some really amazing men, and just some really great humans. But yeah, it's we're back in the room, and it's going, and let's see what tomorrow brings. Okay. Happy full moon. Somehow I've filled 9.5 minutes. I don't really remember what I started with, but I trust that it will be the right thing, because it's going out into the world as it is. Yeah. Putting masks down. It's a big theme for this work. See you tomorrow.